Welcome to the 22nd Vegan Convergence of the Peoples, Thriving on Planet B. I'm Rebecca Allen, your Climate Healers MC, and I'm very pleased to introduce to you our climate healer friend, Debra Graugnard. She offers body spirit of connection, personal development, and spiritual transformations. Debra Graugnard on Eating for Your Body. Please welcome Debra Graugnard.
Thank you, BJ, and thank you to all of the climate healers who helped to put on this amazing event, and everyone who is here in support of the mission. That was a beautiful. I'm not able to be here for the whole thing this weekend, which is sad for me, but boy, coming in on that ending meditation was really powerful. So thank you for that. I usually like to start my sessions with a centering, grounding meditation as well. So I'll just add to that. I am going to speak on eating for the body today, which is it is assuming veganism and then taking it beyond into some really powerful practices that are very healing for the body. So if you have dealt with disease, or if you know someone who is struggling with disease, these can be really helpful practices. And also, if you've met those people who say, "Oh yes, I tried veganism once and it made me sick. I got this," or had indigestion, or felt weak, and those kind of things. These are some practices that could help, and perhaps you could speak with them about trying it this way, right? What I'm going to share with you today, as BJ mentioned, my practice is with the food, body, spirit connection, recognizing our bodies are nature, not separate from nature, and must align with what the earth gives us and provides for us to sustain ourselves. And we have a mutual respectful relationship with the earth, with our bodies, and with our spirit. It's all got to be aligned because it's all one. There is no separation. So I'll begin our session today by just inviting everyone. Just imagine us all in one large circle, sitting side by side, and you've got someone to your left and someone to your right, like shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, coming together as one in a circle. And we're making one big circle. And imagine, as we form this circle, that the planet and her environment are centered, like we're surrounding the planet and her environment. The planet and her entire environment are centered at the center of our circle. And let's bring all of our focus and attention to face our Mother Earth, facing the planet, surrounding her environment, all of the parts of her. And just bring your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your breath to face toward the Mother Earth. And take a breath and just breathe the air, breathe her air. And as you exhale, drop down and really settle into your body. And then bring your throat center and your heart center to face toward the Mother Earth, and just feel that heart connection with the heart of your spirit with the heart of her spirit, this connecting in, being present with her vibrations, her energies, and feel the love, feel the nurturing of the mother who cares for and contains and holds and provides for all of her inhabitants. And take a breath in, breathing that love through your heart center. And as you exhale again, drop down and land into your body, land into your hips, your pelvic bowl, and bring your belly, your whole hara, that belly energy, in the front of your belly and your hips, and turn that to face into the Mother Earth as well. And just give your whole body permission to be completely present and rest into this space of nurturing, of love and compassion. And BJ, is it okay if I share a PowerPoint presentation?
Absolutely.
Okay. I did put one together for us. There we go. All right. So you should be seeing the full screen. So our presentation today is eating for the body. And we're going to talk about habits that support digestive function through all of the phases of digestion. And yes, this is a mind, body, spirit presentation. There is a quote from one of a Sufi mystic from long ago, Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi. It says, "We are in the earth, not on the earth. Our bodies are from the earth. We cannot exist in human form outside of the earth. We are an integral part of the earth's ecosystem." Right? We tend to think of ourselves as on this planet, and so much of our culture is about dominating, controlling nature, bending nature to our will, and making it work for us, rather than recognizing that we are not separate. We are in the earth. There is no separation, period. And I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but just a reminder, setting the tone. The human body is made of earth, water, air, and spirit, right? The body is from the earth. The spirit gives life force to the body. When the spirit leaves the body returns to the earth. The body is made of earth, water, and air. Therefore, it needs food, drink, and breath. And in today's presentation, we're going to talk about 3 phases of digestion, because we tend to think of eating. And of course, if we have problems with elimination, we certainly think about that. But we're going to talk about the 3 phases of digestion and tips to support us through each phase of the digestion. And really eating as a self-care for the soul, and balancing the physiological needs of the body with life and our emotional needs. Because if we didn't have all of the pressures of life, which I know is a very real thing, it's something we all have. We have the pressures of life. We have our demands that we have on us to get along in this world, as well as our emotions. So we're going to talk about all of that. And I want to just give you a little background, some sources for this information, because I think you probably don't know me and where I've been, but this will hopefully help. So in my personal healing journey, oh boy, it's been probably 30 years ago at least. I struggled with ulcerative colitis, hypoglycemia, and fibrocystic disease. I was given the typical, diagnosis. These are things you live with, and you just, deal with it. I heard the people your age get these things. And, when I was in my early 20s, and people your age in teens, some of it in the teens, some of it in the early 20s, people your age get these things. You just live with it. Eat a diet that has no fiber in it whatsoever, so you don't disrupt your ulcerated colon, and then take these steroids, and you'll adapt, right? Which honestly is a death sentence. So if you have heard that death sentence and you want more information about this specifically, contact me. So my own healing journey, I decided, okay, that to me just fortunately did not resonate. And I decided to find other ways. So I found books, and I really embraced natural hygiene. And I think that was a huge key to healing my physical body, the practice of my natural hygiene. I became involved in spiritual teachings and found prophetic medicine. I incorporate some prophetic medicine principles with the natural hygiene. And I've been a long time student of Sufism, and I've studied spiritual healing and the spiritual studies. And so the healing practices and spiritual connection and meditation are a large part of the source of information, if you will. I also was a certified colon hydrotherapist and a cleansing coach, and I studied holistic nutrition. I came just short of getting my PhD. Unfortunately, I was in a relationship that decided to dissolve, and I ended up moving and didn't finish that PhD in holistic nutrition, but it's in my heart and in my body and my soul and in my life. So I want to say, first and foremost, food is meant to give us pleasure, because sharing food is an expression of love. It's a symbol of loving care, kindness, community building, and ritual. And there is a mutual give and receive cycle when we share food with each other that builds connection and community and trust. So I want to say that first and foremost, because sometimes we get into those places where, like, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to give you a bunch of like rules today that might sound a little rigid, but we hold them in the context of we don't live in a vacuum, we don't live independently, we do interact with others, and there is room. There is lots of mercy built into our physical existence. And, we see that. What is sickness? Sickness is the body's attempt to compensate for something that has gone awry, right? And not always, right? But generally, our diets and our lifestyles contribute to the disharmony in the body. And the body, when the body gives us symptoms, it's a signal that something needs to be adjusted and brought back into alignment. But the body can, there's a lot to be said about the things that give us joy, that give us love, that give us loving and kind relationships and feed the spirit and feed the soul. So I want to put that into context. The following that I'm going to share with you are guidelines that support the physiology. And let me say one more thing about the importance of supporting the physiology, because 8 years ago, I returned to my childhood home to live with my father, who at the time was 94, and his partner had passed away, and he was living alone. He had congestive heart failure, and his doctor said, prepare for, this is his last year of life, get all your family together at Christmas. He, won't be around much longer. There's not a lot more that we can do for him. And I will fast forward 8 years later, he's about to turn 103. And so many of his symptoms from the congestive heart failure have been reversed. And a lot of it is due to, now he's not going to go vegan, right? But I have put a lot of these things into practice, put him on an anti-inflammatory diet with just, he still has certain things. I will not let him touch dairy with a 10-foot pole, but he still does have some animal products in his diet. But he has almost no, if you know anything about about the congestive heart failure, it's really tough. There's an incredible amount of inflammation and mucus in the body and fluid retention. His legs were, just huge, and his ankles were huge to the point where his skin was splitting open, and he was getting what's called venostasis ulcers. He couldn't lie down because he was choking in his own fluids in his lungs. He was in really bad shape. And so this, as I said, it goes beyond veganism. It's really about living in harmony with what your body needs and in harmony with the earth. And it heals so many things. It's incredible. So that's a part of a passion for sharing this as well. If you have elderly people in your life, we don't have to just write them off because they're too old to heal. Okay, so I want to talk about the 3 phases of digestion. It's more than just eating and eliminating. We have the ingestion phase, the assimilation phase, and the elimination phase. and each one has its own needs, and we can choose our foods and our food habits, right? I'm not going to talk to you so much about the foods today because you already got that part, but I'm going to talk to you about the food habits that support, how we ingest our foods supports our body's ability to assimilate and absorb the nutrition from the food and to eliminate and release anything before it becomes toxic to the system. So this is a cycle, and I'm giving you very, very high level basic stuff here because it may vary according to your needs. And so I'll preface with that. But the bottom line is, according to your circadian rhythm, the ingestion phase is typically, give or take, between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's the time that our bodies are most suited to take in food and ingest the foods. Assimilation between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. And that's when we're not eating or drinking. That's typically when we're resting. And the body is it's breaking down the foods, absorbing the nutrients into the system. The body knows that whatever it comes into it is either nutrition that can be absorbed and used to support the body, or toxins that need to be eliminated. And so the body knows how to do that. We don't have to tell it how. We just need to give it the proper conditions so it can do what it knows how to do. So there's that assimilation phase, and then the elimination phase. Right. And that is the time where the body is releasing what it's done with and can no longer use. And we're going to get into the organs of elimination in a little bit here. So I want to start with ingestion. Ingestion, the vagus nerve it's the longest nerve in the body. It's it's a set of cranial nerves, cranial nerve 10. And it is called the wanderer. Vagus is Latin for the wanderer, and it's the longest nerve in the body, and it innervates all of your digestive organs all the way until almost to the end of the colon, not quite. And there is the vagus nerve is responsible. We talk about the fight, flight, or freeze when we are in trauma response. The vagus nerve is responsible for the opposite of that, which is the rest and digest. And so when we eat, when we're in fight, flight, or freeze, our digestive system shuts down because it needs all of the energy in order to respond to trauma. So if we're in fight, flight, or freeze, our digestive system gets shut down. So we need to give ourselves breath, ease, and settling into our bodies. Right? Our bodies speak to us about what they need, how they need it, and how much. And so often when we're in that fight, flight, freeze, we're just shoveling food down as fast as we can so we can get on to the next thing and not really connected with our bodies. And our digestive organs are not in a space to really receive the incredible gifts from the earth that we are here to give them. So that's an important thing to tune into. And we ended that last meditation with a prayer. And so setting an intention, being in gratitude, or beginning with a prayer is a beautiful way to set yourself into that rest and digest state so that your vagus nerve can get into its communication and tell all of your digestive organs, hey, we're getting ready to do something really beautiful, pleasurable, and enjoyable here. So this begins the cycle for your body to receive, which is very important because we have to be in that receptive mode in order to receive the nutrition from the earth that's here for our body. So I have this little what I call the food, body, spirit prayer that I like to begin my meals with. If I'm sitting down to have a meal, and if you can remember to do this with just about anything, of course, as Sarah said, prayer, intention, however you make this work for you and your belief systems. If your language doesn't jive with my language, then no pressure here. I'm not trying to convert or anything like that. I just want to give an example of something that hopefully you can take the spirit of it and the energy of it, and make it, put it into something that works for you. But this is an example of one that I use with food. Starts with gratitude. I give thanks for this food that comes from the sacred earth. And I ask for blessings on this food to make it holy, to like, just, you can call it cleanse the food and really build the positive energy to nourish the body, mind, heart, and spirit. Again, make that work for you. And then receive the food. I receive this food. I'm making the intention that my body will receive this food as a gift of nourishment for my body, love for my heart, and reverence for my spirit. To receive and recognize this is nourishment for my body, love for my heart, and reverence or respect for my spirit and my connection with the all that is. Being in the earth, not on the earth, a part of the earth ecosystem, really in respect, reverence, connection for that complete cycle with the earth. And then as you are sitting with this food in front of you, and you're making this intention, what is the first thing that's stimulated? Your senses, your sense of smell, sight, and that invokes memories and connections with food. Smell is the most powerful memory that we have that stimulates memories of our connections with food. So remember, food is meant to be pleasurable. So we want to have things that are going to put our body into a state of receptivity and pleasure and rest and ease. This is going to stimulate the digestive system before we even begin to put food into the mouth, right? The mouth starts watering, the stomach starts growling. And this is really important because the saliva in the mouth, the salivary glands actually excrete enzymes, which begin to break down the food. The chewing, well, the digestive system will start, it'll activate the peristaltic action, right? That expansion and contraction that moves the food. Gastric juices start flowing. And, that's that stomach gurgling. And again, give your body what it likes, the smell, the taste, and the texture that gives you pleasure. And think about this. How much pleasure do you get from your food, right? Your pleasure with the food comes from being with the senses. Like as your senses are taking this in, once you swallow the food, then your body takes over. Your autonomic nervous system takes over to do what it already knows how to do with the food in whatever state that it's in. So to spend that time allowing yourself to smell and taste and feel the texture and chew is like, that's where you really derive the pleasure and the satisfaction and that sense of like a sense of fulfillment and satiation and completion with the process. So let yourself have that, because it's more than just filling up the stomach until it feels like it's going to bust and we can't breathe, right? That's actually doing harm to the body. So when we allow the senses to really take everything in, it supports the digestive system. And it's like physiologically supports the digestive system, and it gives us emotionally a sense of fulfillment. Now, like the earth, water, air, we want to have our foods as close as possible to their original form, how they come from the earth. We want high water content within the foods, right? Because foods contain their own, fresh foods contain their own water. They're a complete package. Whole foods, fresh foods are a complete package with their own water content, their enzymes, minerals, and fiber. So, if we're eating things that have been processed, then there's something of the enzymes and the minerals that have been stripped out, often the fiber, and then the digestive system, in order to break down those foods into nutrients that can be absorbed into the bloodstream to feed the cells, it has to take the calcium from the bones or the, whatever's missing. It has to get those minerals from other places in the body. And when we are, like you take too much calcium out of the bones, you end up with something like osteoporosis, or it can affect blood pressure or a number of things that are actual mineral deficiencies in the body. Enzymes, when we don't have the enzymes to break the food down, then, we're passing through undigested foods. And when we pass undigested foods through our body, through the stomach, after it leaves the stomach, after it leaves the stomach, if the food is no longer digested, we think of yeast as a bad thing, but the system has yeast intentionally. If the food is not digested when it leaves the stomach, the yeast can try to start to break it down. But if there's too much undigested food, then the yeast can get overgrown, and then it can get into the intestinal walls, cause leaky gut. All kinds of fun things can start to happen to the body that makes us sick, that are outside of the food choices that we make. And I'm saying this for, the people who say, oh yeah, I tried veganism. It was too high carbs, too much sugar in the fruit, too much blah, 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 blah. And, this happened. So a lot of what you'll hear today will address some of those issues. Again, it's about how we take the food rather than as much as the food that we take. So, of course, we want foods that are free of pesticides, chemicals, not altered to, quote unquote, improve upon nature. Because the body, now, at this day and age, I think it's pretty much impossible to avoid toxins, which is why when we get to the elimination phase, we're going to talk about ways to support the elimination channels, because we are going to take in some toxins, and the body is going to, the body has a natural systems in place to eliminate toxins. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. Okay, the 1/3 rule of ingestion, where your stomach is not, this is referring to your stomach. Your stomach is not meant to be overfilled. Your stomach should contain 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, and 1/3 for air. And why is this? Because when the stomach, we have to leave room when we're filling the stomach. We have to leave room for breath and eat to abate the hunger, not to feel full. So, when I've done classes and taken people through, I have a class that is really an awesome class, I will say, called I Love My Guts. I haven't taught it for a long time, but it's really getting into so many components of the body, and being present with and learning to listen and clearing out our emotional baggage that we hold in those places, and really getting into that relationship with body, food, earth, spirit. And if you can just sit, like when you feel hungry, sit and do some diaphragmatic breathing, like breathing into your diaphragm. So you really feel, because your stomach sits right under the diaphragm. I'll show this in a minute. But feel that, like, feel how your lungs move when your stomach is hungry, when your stomach feels like it wants food. And feel that, like, just feel the stomach as you inhale and your diaphragm depresses down onto the stomach, and just get used to that feeling. What does it feel like? Right. And I think we all know what it feels like to be over full and feel like, oh, I can't even get a full breath in because I ate too much. Right. Or I've certainly done that a number of times myself. But, like, how does it feel to just have that feeling of comfort, that place in between being hungry and being super full? How does it feel? And can we signal to ourselves that we can be okay in all of these states? Most of us, for the most part, it's like, I can be okay in whatever state, in whatever state of fullness my stomach is in, and just be present with, and, like, rest into it, lean into it, allow it, and explore that state within your body, right? Because your stomach, and I want to say this, when you are taking in food into your stomach, it has 3 different motions that your stomach must have space for in order to digest your foods. One is to expand to receive the food as it's coming in from your esophagus into your stomach, and then to churn, to mix the foods with the gastric juices, and then to expel the foods from the stomach into the first part of the small intestine, which is the duodenum. So I want to talk about drinking. So I mentioned 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, and 1/3 for air. But drinking, if we can, of course, keep our drinking water, natural juices, smoothies, things like that come from the foods that we ingest. And with water, we want to make sure that we are not having any water. If you drink water, then wait about 30 minutes before you eat a meal, and then wait about an hour after your meal to drink more water. And this will prevent diluting the digestive enzymes and the gastric juices, so that your enzymes from your saliva, from your stomach, from your pancreas, from your duodenum, your enzymes, your minerals, your gastric juices can act upon the foods and properly break them down. You have different levels of pH balance in the different parts of your digestive system, and we don't want to alkalize everything, right? When we talk about alkalizing, what we're really talking about is the blood, and the alkalization, the pH level of the blood is very different from the pH level of the digestive system. And that's one of the things that I think we get confused about when we start talking about alkalizing, I have an acidic stomach. Well, your stomach's supposed to be acidic, but the acid's got to be contained in the stomach, and it breaks down the food. And the body is so wise, it knows what to secrete in order to do what it needs to do with different things. So you may want to eat different things that don't cause the stomach to produce so much acid. Like your proteins and things like that are going to, of course, animal products are going to have the stomach producing very acidic acids to break down the foods in the stomach. You may change what you're eating, but you don't want to alkalize the stomach when you're eating, or too close to before or after you're eating, because that acid is needed to break down the foods. You may need to do some work about strengthening the sphincters between your esophagus and your stomach, and between your stomach and your duodenum, so that the acidic solution stays within the stomach, because the stomach's very acidic. But as soon as the food leaves the stomach, the pancreas secretes all kinds of minerals there to neutralize the acids, so that it doesn't burn up your intestines before it goes down. So you've got all kinds of things at play. What is important about pH is that your blood needs to maintain a certain pH level, and it's got a very narrow window there. And if it goes outside of that window, you can die. So if the blood is not getting the minerals that it needs from the foods, it's going to, again, that's where it starts robbing things from other places in your body in order to maintain that pH level of the blood. So if you're giving your body foods that don't have the alkalizing minerals naturally in them, it's going to take from other places in your body. And when your body gets deficient in minerals in other places, that's where you start to see disease. So we don't want to necessarily change the natural pH level of the digestive system, but we want to give the body alkalizing minerals that are naturally contained within our natural foods, so that the blood can maintain its pH level and not have to rob the body of other nutrients, other parts of the body from nutrients. And I hope that makes sense. I'll open for questions. If you have questions, feel free to write them down. And if they don't get answered here, then I'll take questions afterwards. And so when eating, sometimes we feel that need. We need to get a sip of water, and a sip of water now and then to wash down the food. I don't think I think it's okay. But mostly we want to get moisture from the natural water content in the foods and from chewing. Chewing, produces the saliva. We swallow the saliva. The saliva has enzymes in them. The enzymes in the saliva are really where the enzymes that break down carbs mostly come from. So, I'm going to talk about chewing in a minute. I think I have a slide on chewing, but it's really, really important for a number of reasons when it comes to breaking down the foods. so that the body can absorb the nutrients, so that the enzymes can then act on the food and the body can absorb the nutrients in the way that it's designed. Coffee, caffeine, sodas, these tend to be diuretic. They tend to be dehydrating and a stimulant. And I know sometimes, especially a lot of people will say, I can't have my elimination moment in the morning until I've had my coffee or my caffeine. Again, eating in this way really naturally supports the elimination. So we can start to cut back on the stimulants and the diuretics. Hydration is so important to the body. Natural hydration, right? Not just from water, but from the natural water content in our foods. It's going to be the best health aid for the body. And alcohol also, a diuretic, it's dehydrating, it throws off your blood sugar because it is basically sugar that gets metabolized in the brain, and it destroys the intestinal flora. So we want to stay away from these things or limit them and stay with the natural foods as close as possible, again, as to the way they come from the earth. Now, again, with ingestion, there is what's called a 3-finger rule. And you see right there holding that little bitty baby plum with 3 fingers. This refers to the size of the bites. There is you see, if you hold your hand like that and you hold like your thumb and your first finger and your middle finger out, that gives you a size. And that is a proportioned size that is just right for picking up food and putting it in your mouth. It gives you just the right amount for satisfaction and pleasure so that you can really get a good taste and texture and feel of the food. You can move it around in your mouth and really get a good sensation, derive the pleasure and the satisfaction from the food. Any less than that, it kind of leaves you wanting and like you didn't really get your needs met there. And so it leaves you unsatisfied. And any more than that will crowd your organs, make it hard to swallow, make it, again, just you're not able to chew thoroughly, which is very important to the digestive process. And here's the slide on chewing. So the carbs, the enzymes to break down carbohydrates are in the saliva. So chewing is very important for breaking down the carbs. It also increases the surface area of the food. Whatever food you have, the enzymes have to coat the surface, right? The enzymes coat the surface of the food and they begin to break it down. If you do that, the chew, swallow, and you're swallowing big pieces of food, the enzymes can't get all the way into the foods. The more you chew, the more surface area is created, the more the enzymes can act on the food and break the foods down into nutrients that your system can absorb. Your digestive system is porous and you're absorbing nutrients through your digestive system into your bloodstream that can then be transported throughout your body. So you want to increase the surface area of the foods. Again, if you have undigested foods, you're swallowing whole foods that you haven't chewed, and they go through the stomach. And say you've got some carbs, and the stomach's not really doing the breakdown of the carbs, or it's not able to completely break down the foods. The enzymes don't have enough surface area to break down and the foods into the parts that your body can absorb. Then it leaves the stomach and it goes into the first part of the small intestine. And this is where that, as mentioned, the yeast, where the yeast lives, and it can then further act on the foods to try to break it down. And again, if you're eating a lot of stuff that yeast is going to feed on and it still can't break it down, it's going to produce more, and you get a yeast overgrowth or SIBO, and leaky. It can make its way into the lining of the intestines, grow into the lining of the intestines, and you get leaky gut. So All of those things are really, like, chewing makes a huge difference. Plus, that's where your senses get to derive the pleasure from the foods. Once it's been swallowed, you don't have that sensual pleasure. And we are sensual creatures. We are meant to derive pleasure through our senses. So take advantage of that. Be with the smell of the food, with the sight of the food. Let your mouth water, let your stomach churn, let yourself taste it, feel the texture, enjoy it, love it. It is the most, we are meant to have pleasure, to derive pleasure from foods. So give yourself that gift. Okay, and a breath between bites. I mentioned this earlier, feeling the stomach as your lungs sit on top of your diaphragm. As you breathe, this diaphragm pushes down, it makes contact with the stomach. Feel your stomach, and you take a breath right now. Just sit up, like upright your spine, and feel this diaphragm is just beneath your rib cage. It goes up under your rib cage. And take a breath into, like, and feel your lungs push down on your diaphragm, and your stomach will expand out. Your belly will expand out, and just feel that connection with your stomach. And make that contact, make that intention, kind of lean into your body, lean into your stomach, and feel that. And just play with your breath. Oh my goodness. Excuse me just a second. Okay. I don't know if you saw that, but I just had a message pop up. But let's see. So feel your stomach. And this is important to take your time as you're chewing, take a breath between bites, feel your stomach. It gives time not only for you to feel that connection with your stomach and be in that listening and connection with your body, but also for your stomach to send signals to your brain, letting your brain know when it's had enough. One of the reasons why our stomachs can get overfilled is because we eat fast, and the stomach, it takes time for the signals to get to the brain to say, okay, we're good now, right? And so we end up eating to the point of overfilling rather than just abating the hunger, eating till we're no longer hungry. And then I want to say a word about transit times. Now, and this has to do with sequential eating. When we eat things like fruits digest in about 20 to 30 minutes when they're eaten on an empty stomach. So we always want to eat fruit on an empty stomach. And if you want to eat something before that, 12 p.m. time frame, the best thing that we can have is fruits or a fruit and veggie smoothie, something like that. And taking that on an empty stomach, the fruits are just like perfect little packages. They're like little wrapped up gifts that have been placed on the earth for us. And we can, just think of it like a little wrapped gift. It's got its wrapping, it's got its, its skin, it's got all the phytonutrients and all the enzymes and all the hydration and everything perfectly in those little package. And when eaten on an empty stomach, our bodies can get everything that they need to absorb the nutrients from those perfect little packages. But we want to eat them on an empty stomach, and then we want to give about 30 minutes before we eat anything else. There are some things that can be combined with fruits or like vegetables. Carbohydrates take about 2 to 3 hours. So when we eat carbs, we want to give, they're going to sit in the stomach for about 2 to 3 hours before, and again, it depends on what kind. So give or take on this, it's about two hours before they are completely eliminated from the stomach. And the proteins, especially if you or your friends are eating animal products, those are going to take 3 to 5 hours and sometimes even longer to be in the stomach. And so we want to eat sequentially so that, fruit, the first meal on an empty stomach, wait 30 minutes. I already said these parts, carbs with veggies, the we can have veggies with all of these, right? Veggies are those perfect little packages as well that seem to combine well with other foods, with everything, and proteins, within. So we want to like eat in this, like if your morning times, you want to have your fruit meals in the morning. You want to have your carb meal at lunchtime and your protein meal at dinner time. And because at dinner time, well, let's just talk about what happens if you don't, right? If you eat a big heavy meal and then eat fruit right after, then the fruits will ferment. So say you got something really heavy that's excreting a lot of heavy, like acid solution in your stomach, and then you eat a piece of fruit, the fruits will ferment. And what happens when things ferment, like wine, it starts bubbling up, right? And you get that indigestion. So when your friends say, oh, I tried that, it's too much carbs, it's too much sugar, I ate this fruit and blah, blah, blah. So it's like gave me indigestion, it made me feel sick, blah, And so think about it, when your stomach is full and it's digesting like proteins, which need to be broken down with the high acid solution from the stomach, then the fruits will ferment. You miss out on the nutrition from these perfect little packages because now it's fermented and it's giving you gas, it's giving you indigestion. Fats will get rancid if they sit in the stomach too long. Your animal products will putrefy and they become, that's just nasty, right? I can say that to this group. It's putrid, right? That becomes putrid, and that, if they sit in the stomach for too long, it's bad news. So then it becomes a situation where instead of absorbing the nutrients from these perfect foods that we get from the earth, our body has to manage toxins. So we miss out on the nutrients, and then the body has to manage a toxic environment, which again, the body knows how to do, but it can only do so much of it, right? The body knows how to make you a beautiful, healthy human being if you know how to give the body what it needs. So just a simple word about food combining. We want to eat like foods together and no more than 3 types of food at a given meal. And we want to avoid things like too many different kinds of spicy foods together, or too many hot warming foods, too many cold cooling foods, too many viscous foods, too many loose foods, costive, which means like constipating foods, laxative foods. We want to avoid having like too much of one thing when we're combining our meals. We want to balance our warming and cooling, dry and moist. And of course, if your body is out of balance and you're trying to correct for an imbalance, that's different. But on a normal day to day, we want to balance. We want to balance the different types of foods in our systems that we're giving our systems, but basically eat like foods together and no more than 3 types at one meal. Because otherwise it just gets too confusing for the digestive system to know what to do. Now, posture. Posture is very important as well, because, we don't want to like lay on the sofa eating our foods while we're watching television, okay, even though that's fun and comfortable sometimes and can feel nourishing. We want to be upright and give our digestive organs the proper alignment, right? So there's no constriction. I mean, it's like a long tube, right? We don't want to have constrictions in the hose as the food is going through. We want to be present and in reverence and respect with what's in front of us. That's that connection with the body, connection with the earth, connection with the gifts from the earth, being present with. I want to remain upright for at least 2 hours after eating, and ideally have a little walk after the evening meal, even if it's just 100 yards, but just to get some movement in the body. And, that's like helping with the movement of the body, with the lymphatic system, with the digestive system, supporting the body's functioning. And when you go to sleep at night, can start out sleeping on your right side, because when you sleep on your right side, your stomach doesn't have to fight gravity to continue to empty. And so whatever's left over in your stomach can continue to empty out. So start out sleeping on your right side. And then, after you fall asleep, of course, you can move back and forth between left and right and support the functions of your body. But starting on your right side gives your stomach that ability to empty out without having to fight gravity, which is important to your assimilation, your body's ability to move it through the small intestines where it is assimilated. And then elimination, I'm just looking at the time here, so I'm going to go through these somewhat quickly. You have 7 channels of elimination. You have internal filters, your liver, your kidneys, and your lymphatic system. All of these are very important to maintain health. And then to exit the body, you exit toxins, leave your body through your skin, through your pores, through your lungs, your breath, through your urinary tract, and through your bowels. So with just a couple of things, I just have a few things here, and of course there's more. For your lymphatic system, movement, exercise, walking after the evening meal, these are things that can support your lymphatic system. Having a rebounder to jump on is really good to support your rebound, your lymphatic drainage. If you're a centenarian like my father and your circulation is not so well and you have a hard time with movement, elevating your feet, and getting your feet above your heart at night when you sleep is very important. And, this is the thing, when he had the congestive heart failure, to try to lay down, he was drowning in the fluids and he couldn't lay down without feeling like he was dying, literally. And he was, because he was drowning in his own fluids. So he couldn't elevate his feet, which is why he had the huge legs and the venous stasis ulcer. So, getting the fluids off of the body naturally through an anti-inflammatory diet and through observing these principles is really important. It's amazing that he has normal size legs and doesn't have he can lie down at night. He can sleep lying down. Chi machines are great, and dry brushing. Dry brushing is phenomenal. It's great for the lymphatic system. It stimulates the circulation. It opens the pores. It's also good for the skin. The dry brushing is good for the skin, opens the pores, and helps with that elimination. So it helps the lymphatic system. It helps the pores. It stimulates circulation. It gives you that feeling like you just had a great workout. So I highly recommend dry brushing, avoiding soaps and lotions that clog the pores. Let yourself sweat. Don't be afraid to sweat. Whether it's out, I live in Texas, so it's like a sauna just to walk outside, and but don't be afraid of the sweat. And sunshine, getting that natural vitamin D within reason for yourself. Lungs, deep breathing, sound and breath exercises to get a full movement of your diaphragm and your lungs, and really building your lung capacity through physical exercises, through sound and breath exercises. Really oxygenating your system is really healing. Elimination for your urinary tract, water hydration through the natural high water content foods, avoiding excess caffeine and alcohol, eliminating for your bowels, that rest and digest mode, relax, meditation, and really releasing the tension from the hips, the glutes, and the pelvic floor is really important for proper elimination, for just letting things drop down and let go, right? Drinking water in the morning. If you want to drink a glass of water in the morning, it helps. That diaphragmatic breathing. And there's a practice where you can lie on your stomach and put your arms up like Superman, like you're lying like Superman with your arms out in front of you. And you can even put a pillow underneath your lower abdomen for support, and then do some deep diaphragmatic breathing and releasing that tension from your pelvic floor as you're giving that, you're kind of massaging your abdominal space in your colon, basically, with the diaphragmatic breathing, that pressure from being on the pillow, that movement, right? Massage is like breath is like giving yourself a massage from the inside out, and just letting that go. It's amazing what that will do if you're constipated. That will help to release that, and you're going to have a beautiful, natural, celebratory elimination moment, as we say, as a colon hydrotherapist, I can celebrate those moments because, if you've ever been in a situation where things were not flowing as you needed them to, and you felt the effects of that, you know that those can be celebratory moments when that clears. And then elevating the knees to create a better angle for evacuation. So, when you do eliminate, we in the United States like to sit on thrones, but if you put a stool there and elevate your knees, it creates a better angle for evacuation, and you can have a better evacuation for your body. So again, remember, everything in balance. Food is meant to give us pleasure. Sharing food is an expression of love. It's a symbol of loving care and kindness, community building and ritual. It's that mutual give and receive cycle. When you give someone something, you want them to receive it and to receive the love that loving care that you put into it. When someone offers us food, I say this because sometimes we might be in that situation of like, oh gosh, wait a minute, this isn't going to support my digestion right now. If your body is fairly, healthy, the love and the exchange that you receive from like building that connection and that trust and that community with someone, so long as it doesn't, like totally go against your beliefs. If somebody offers you a steak, I don't recommend taking it, but, but just if you're saying, oh, gee, I don't think I can take this. Of course, listen to your body, honor your body, but also honor the connections and the love in your life too, because it is also very, very important. And these guidelines support physiology, heart, and connection are important too. And the food, body, spirit connection is meant to bring us home to our bodies, to find connection, grounding, centering. So tune into your heart's needs, tune into your body's needs, and give yourself what is optimal for your body and your health. And I want to share this one more quote from one of my Sufi teachers. It says, "The day will come when the earth bears witness to everything ever done to it by humankind. Each and every one of us carries an individual, non-transferable responsibility for their deeds. May our deeds and words bring light to this world and to its creatures." And that is from Rosina Fauzia al-Rawi. So I'll leave us with that, as remembering we are not on the earth, we are in the earth, we are a part of the earth ecosystem. We do not exist in this physical form, in human form, without earth, breath, earth, water, and air. So we are very much a part of this earth. All right, and with that, I thank you very, very much, and I'll stop now. Love and appreciation for the body, connecting with food and earth with gratitude and reverence. All right, I think I got in right under the wire. I know that was fast, and I apologize if I was dumping too much information there too quickly, but I thank you for being here and for listening, and I hope you receive something that can help you and your loved ones.
There is a place where all life thrives, where every creature is respected, compassionately saving lives, and no one is rejected. Our world of peace and harmony, we call this planet. There is a place where all life thrives. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. A world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. Oh, a world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. A world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. We call this planet B. There is a place where all life thrives, where every creature is respected, compassionately saving lives, and no one is rejected. Our world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. A world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. We know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. Oh, a world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. A world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. We call this planet B.
Honey, I'm on.
Call this planet B. There is a place where all life thrives, where every creature is respected, compassionately saving lives, and no one is rejected. Our world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down, a chaos of extremes. In unity we turn it around and live the life of dreams. A world of peace and harmony, we call this planet B. This place we know is upside down.